Investment. When most people think about the richest man in the world, they imagine private jets, mansions, and billion-dollar bank accounts. But here's the truth, that's not how he got there. Everything makes a good investment. Wealth at that level doesn't come from a paycheck. It doesn't come from winning the lottery, and it definitely doesn't come from luck. It comes from understanding how money actually works and then scaling it to a level most people can't even imagine. First, the richest man in the world doesn't rely on one source of income. Investment. He builds multiple streams that connect with each other like gears in a machine. Think about it. He might have a company that sells products, another that invests in cutting edge technology, and another that provides services. Each business feeds into the next, creating a cycle where money doesn't just come in once. It comes in from 10 different directions. That's a level of financial security and power most people ignore because they're stuck thinking about income as a paycheck. Second, he reinvests his profits. Investment. Instead of cashing out and spending everything on lifestyle upgrades, he puts that money back into scalable businesses. That's the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire. And millionaires take profits and enjoy them. Billionaires take profits and multiply them. Every dollar becomes fuel for growth, which is why their wealth snowballs while most people's money slips through their fingers. Third, leverage is everything. The richest man in the world doesn't try to do it all himself. He leverages people, hiring teams of experts who are smarter in their fields than he is. He leverages technology, building systems that work 24/7 without needing sleep. And he leverages capital using money not just as currency, but as a tool to make more money. That's how you scale from thousands to millions to billions. And finally, the biggest difference, he plays the long game. While most people are chasing quick cash, crypto pumps, lottery tickets, or whatever the new get rich quick scheme is, the richest man in the world is building for decades ahead. He's not thinking about tomorrow. He's thinking about the next 20 years. That's why he invests in innovation, in industries that will change how the world works. Because when you're that far ahead, the money follows automatically. So, investment. How does the richest man in the world really make money? Not through luck, not through shortcuts, but by building multiple income streams, reinvesting profits, leveraging resources, and thinking long-term. Investment. That's the formula. And it's one anyone can start applying, even on a smaller scale. The richest man in the world didn't get to the top by putting all his eggs in one basket. What separates him from the average person is that he doesn't depend on just one paycheck or one business. He builds multiple income streams, each one designed to support and feed into the other. Most people think of income in a very linear way. You work a job, you get paid, and that's it. But that model has limits. You can only work so many hours in a day, and your salary will always have a ceiling. The wealthiest people in the world don't accept that limitation. Instead, they create systems where money flows from different directions at once. Think of it like building an ecosystem. Investment. One company might generate cash by selling products, another might invest in new technologies, and another might provide services to millions of people. When one stream slows down, the others continue running, creating stability and growth. That's why downturns or setbacks don't destroy them. They've insulated themselves by having multiple gears turning at the same time. Investment. It's the difference between someone who loses their job and has no backup plan versus someone who owns several businesses and can afford for one to underperform without risking their entire fortune. Investment. What's important here is that anyone can learn from this model. You don't have to start by owning 10 companies. It could be as simple as having a main job, a side hustle, and an investment account. Over time, those extra income streams build resilience and wealth. The richest man in the world just took that same concept and scaled it massively. It's not about luck. It's about creating multiple ways for money to flow to you instead of relying on just one. Investment. One of the biggest secrets behind how the richest man in the world builds his wealth is the way he treats profits. Most people see extra money as something to spend on a better car, a bigger house, investment, or luxury experiences. But the wealthiest don't think that way. Instead of seeing profits as disposable, they see them as seeds. And the key is simple. Reinvest those profits into businesses and opportunities that can grow even bigger. That's how a small company becomes a global empire. When a business starts generating cash, there are always two choices. Take it out and enjoy it, or put it back into the system. The richest man consistently chooses the second option. By reinvesting, he funds research, hires better talent, develops new products, and expands into fresh markets. Every dollar is put to work with the expectation that it will bring back 2, 3, or even 10 more. This creates a compounding effect, where the business doesn't just grow in a straight line, it grows exponentially. This is also why his wealth snowballs while most people's plateaus. A person who spends every dollar they earn never allows their money to multiply. But someone who keeps reinvesting profits is building momentum, and that momentum eventually becomes unstoppable. Think about it like a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, it's small and slow, but as it keeps moving and collecting more snow, it grows larger and faster without extra effort. The richest man applies this principle at scale, but the same idea works on a smaller level too. Whether it's reinvesting dividends from stocks, putting profits from a side hustle back into the business, or saving to expand a skill set, the habit of reinvesting is what turns modest success into massive wealth. Leverage is one of the most powerful tools the richest man in the world uses. Investment. And it's the reason his wealth multiplies far beyond what one person could ever achieve alone. Most people think about money in terms of effort, how many hours they can work or how much they can physically do. But there's a ceiling to that approach. You can't work 24 hours a day, and you can't be an expert at everything. That's why leverage is the game changer. Instead of relying only on his own time and skills, he taps into resources that expand his reach exponentially. He leverages people by surrounding himself with experts who are the best in their fields. Rather than trying to master every detail, he hires teams who specialize in areas like technology, marketing, finance, and operations. These people allow him to move faster and smarter than he ever could alone. Every employee, every partner, every advisor becomes a force multiplier. He leverages technology by building systems that don't need him to be present. Whether it's e-commerce platforms making sales 24/7 or advanced software managing logistics, good investment. Technology works around the clock. This kind of leverage is why his businesses can serve millions of customers at once, something no individual effort could ever accomplish. And finally, he leverages capital. Investment, instead of keeping money idle, he uses it as a tool to create more money. Investments, acquisitions, and infrastructure expansion all rely on deploying capital strategically. Each dollar invested is expected to return multiple dollars in the future. The lesson here is clear wealth doesn't come from doing everything yourself. It comes from building systems, people, men, and tools that extend your impact beyond your own two hands. That's how ordinary success becomes extraordinary wealth. The richest man in the world didn't get there by chasing quick money. He got there by playing the long game. Most people are focused on immediate gratification. They want fast results, quick profits, and overnight success. But that mindset is the exact opposite of how real wealth is built. The richest man operates with decades in mind, not days or weeks. He understands that the biggest payoffs come from patience, consistency, and vision that stretches far into the future. Instead of trying to predict short-term trends, he invests in industries and innovations that will shape the next 10, 20, or even 50 years. He puts his money into technology, infrastructure, and businesses that might take years to pay off. But once they do, they redefine entire markets. That's why when others are distracted by short-term opportunities, he's building foundations that will keep generating wealth long after those trends fade away. This long-term vision also gives him an edge during setbacks. When markets crash or businesses struggle, investment. Most people panic because they were only thinking about the short-term gain. But for him, downturns are opportunities. He can buy, invest, and expand when prices are low, knowing that in the long run, the value will rebound and multiply. The biggest takeaway here is that building wealth requires patience. Quick money might feel good in the moment, but it's never sustainable. The richest man in the world shows us that the real path is slow, steady, and strategic. By focusing on where the world is headed, not just where it is today, he positions himself to stay ahead of everyone else. Investment. That's how empires are built, not in months, but in decades.